Hello viewers, I am Dr. V. Jayaramanathan, Assistant Professor, Department of Biotechnology, JJ College of Arts and Science, Autonomous, Pudukottai. Now I am going to discuss about the components of environment. Before discussing about the component of environment, first, what is environment? The environment is a French term derived from environ. The word environment means surrounding. So the environment is the surrounding and sum total of all conditions that influences and affect the development of life of all organisms on earth. Then the another important term in environmental biotechnology is ecology. Ecology is the branch of science that deals with the study of interactions between living organisms and their physical environment. So both the environment and the ecology is closely interrelated and they have a continuous interactions, so that any change in the environment has an effect on the living organisms and vice versa. Then environmental biotechnology. So here the biotechnology is useful for the application of process for the protection and restoration of the quality of the environment. This technology is used to detect, prevent and remediate the emission of pollutants into the environment in a number of ways. Next we see about the components of environment. So in the left figure we have to mention the four different components: the lithosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere and atmosphere. Lithosphere is nothing but a soil environment or earth. The hydrosphere is water environment. Then atmosphere is air environment. So in all these three kind of environment, the living organisms are present. So this region is called as a biosphere. Then the environment can be broadly divided into three types: physical component, biological component and cultural component. The left side figure which only indicate the biological component, and the right side figure which indicate three different type of components: physical component, biological component and cultural component. The physical component is furtherly subdivided into three types. Number one is atmosphere, number two is hydrosphere and number three is lithosphere. Then the biological component is furtherly divided into two types: abiotic and biotic. Abiotic means which denotes non-living factors. The biotic factors which denotes living factors. The biotic factors furtherly subdivided into three categories. First, producer. The producer is nothing but plants and certain microorganisms. So they can produce energy for all the living organisms. Then the consumers. Consumer means those who are all depend the producers is called as consumers. Then decomposers. Decomposer means they can utilize the energy from the dead organic matter. For example, certain bacteria, fungi and certain actinomycetes. Then the cultural environment can be divided into three types: society, economy and politics. So the society which play a major role because the environment is influencing so many factors on the society, as well as the economy of the peoples. Those who are all survive in the particular environment can be decided by the particular environment. Then the politics. So the political influence the growth and development of the peoples in the particular environment. So in cultural there are three categories. Then next we discuss about the biosphere. So what is biosphere? Biosphere is nothing but a thin life supporting stratum of earth's surface. That particular environment is extend from a few kilometers into the atmosphere to the deep sea vents of the ocean. So the biosphere is called as a global ecosystem and it is composed of living organisms, biota, and non-living organisms, abiota. The factors from which they derive energy and nutrients. The factor means from the non-living factors the living organisms can derive energy and nutrients. The next is, what is the importance of biosphere? So biosphere is the portion of earth where life occurs. The portion of earth is maybe land, water and air that hold life. So these parts are known as lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere respectively. Lithosphere indicate the land mass. The lithosphere which exclude Earth's mantle and core, because this Earth's mantle and core do not support any form of life. The hydrosphere is the aquatic portion of the planet. This is a somewhat largest area or environment. So this hydrosphere which support all form of life. Then the atmosphere. The atmosphere is the air that living organism use the air for respiration, and this environment which support life up to 2000 meters above the planet surface. The next is hydrosphere. So the hydrosphere means which include water in from ocean, lakes, pond, river, stream, etc. This environment which cover about 73% of area of the earth's surface. So water is the major inorganic nutrient which is needed by all living organisms. That's why water is called as a essential for life. So the first life is originated in water. The water which continuously circulates between the atmosphere and the earth's surface. This process is called as a water cycle. So the energy for driving the cycle and thus ensuring a constant supply of fresh water on land comes from the sun. Then the solar heat which evaporate water from the ocean, which is the great reservoir of water. Then a lesser amount of water is also evaporated from the surface of the land from plants. So the plant which absorb the water from the roots, from the root to the water which reach the topmost portion of the plant, from the leaves or stems, the water they can get evaporated and they reach the sky. So this particular process is known as a evapotranspiration. So all this vaporized water that form a cloud, so which moved by winds, may pass over land where they are cooled enough to precipitate the water as rain or snow. Then the groundwater is returned to the surface in the form of springs by pumps and transpiration. The movement of water in plants from roots to leaves is called as transpiration. Then water inevitably ends up back into the sea, but it may become incorporated into the bodies of several different organisms. The water which was present in 70% of all living organisms. It's a essential nutrient for the metabolic process and other physiochemical process. Without water, the living organisms cannot survive. The next we goes to water cycle. So the how the water can be cyclically moved from one place to another place. So for the water cycle, oceans play a major important role. So from the ocean, the water was condensed. The condensed water which reached the atmosphere. So from this atmosphere, the water bodies can be melted, or they can be precipitated, or they can be stored in small crystals. So the volcanic streams that can cool this precipitated water and the ice and snow, everything was cooled and they can be converted into snow melt, or the precipitated form of ice crystals cooled and they become runoff and they enter into stream flow. Then the water can be infiltrated and they enter into the groundwater, and they are all move from the groundwater to plant root system and other streams and other water bodies. From the groundwater, the water can be uptake by the plants and they can be evaporated and they can be converted into stream flow. Then the infiltrated water in the ground system, they can reach in the form of seepage spring. Then the atmospheric water, they can be involved in the process of sublimation and desublimation. Sublimation means a change directly from the solid to gaseous state without becoming liquid. Desublimation means transformation of gas into solid without an intermediate liquid phase. Then the fog trip means water droplets from the fog adhere to the needles or leaves or trees or other objects. They are all combined into the large drops and then dropped to the ground. The seepage means the slow escape of a liquid or gas through porous material or small holes. Then the spring means the season after winter before summer in which vegetation begins to appear. So these are the water cycle. Next we goes to atmosphere. So the atmosphere is a thick gaseous mantle which envelop or which cover the hydrosphere and earth surface. This particular environment is called air, which supply oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide and other important gases. They are all subjected to physical cycles by the sun and spin of earth. The composition of atmosphere is uniform up to a height of about 80 kilometers. The higher level have lighter gases, then the lower level have denser gases. So the atmosphere is denser near the earth and rarer away from the earth. Then continuation of atmosphere. The atmospheric pressure is more near the earth than away from it. The atmosphere has a layer of ozone at a height of about 32 to 48 km. This particular layer is used to filtrate the UV radiation from the sun. So this layer acts as a barrier. So this layer is very much important to prevent the infection caused by UV radiation to the living organisms. Next we discuss about the different phases, that is troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere and exosphere. So up to this mesosphere, stratosphere and troposphere, they are all containing different kind of constituents of atmospheric gases. For example, oxygen, nitrogen and carbon dioxide. So these are all act as a metabolites for living organisms and hence they are all essentially needed by them for their normal functioning. The troposphere is the lowest region of the atmosphere. So the range is 6 to 10 kilometers. So somewhat that may extend up to 20 kilometers. Next, stratosphere. So the stratosphere is a layer of earth above the atmosphere which is about 50 kilometers. So in both of the sphere the air level is present in enough amount. The next one is mesosphere. The mesosphere is situated above the stratosphere and below the thermosphere. So which is spread from 50 to 80 kilometers altitude. Next, thermosphere. So the thermosphere is above the mesosphere which extends from about 90 kilometers. Then exosphere, this is the outermost region of the planet atmosphere. Here air density is very low, that may extend up to 10,000 kilometers. So here there is no any little amount of air, so that's why this particular region is not suitable for the living of any kind of microorganism. Exosphere and thermosphere is not suitable for the living of any kind of organisms. Troposphere and stratosphere is most suitable. Next, lithosphere. This is the solid component of earth. It's a multi-layered and include three main layers. They are all number 1 crust, number 2 mantle and number 3 core. The core is called as a outer and inner layer. The core is the central fluid or vaporized sphere that having a diameter of about 2500 km from the center and is possibly composed of nickel ion. This is a highly resistant environment. Then the mantle that extends about 2900 km above the core. This is in a molten state. Then the crust is called as a outermost solid zone of the earth which is about 8 to 40 km above the mantle. This crust appear as a very complex, and the surface is covered with solid supporting rich and varied cross section of earth, showing different layers and different biotic communities. The soil provides a majority of nutrients and which provide a good source of food, act as a shelter which gives a anchorage and concealment from the predators to living organisms. Besides the source of the entry of nutrients and water in plants, the soil is the good medium for the deleterious food chain, that the nutrients which are all released in deleterious are decomposed by various soil microbes like bacteria, algae, fungi, protozoa. These are all caused decomposed microorganisms bound in or on soil particles and take back into plants through their roots. Then the soil mud, that is also one of the important main source of nutrients, that containing all the macro and micronutrients in enough amount, that is very much important for the growth and development of aquatic plants, rooted plants, submerged or free floating plants. In addition to that, soil is the means to support for all terrestrial organisms. The plants, they are all anchored to the soil by the root system. Then the animals, they walk upon it and are supported by it. As many animals like nematodes, polychaetes, arachnids, insects, rodents, they all live under the soil. Then the table which indicate the chemical composition of the earth crust. What are the chemicals, various chemicals which are present in the earth? There are totally 9 different type of chemical categories was present. So out of these, oxygen present in 46.6%, silicon present in 27.7%, aluminum present in 8.1%, iron present in 5%, calcium present in 3.6%, sodium having 2.8%, potassium is in 2.6%, magnesium 2.1%, and the components like boron, manganese, copper, zinc, molybdenum, cobalt, ferrous, these are all compounds are present with 1.4%. So all of these nutrients are very essential for the all the form of life. Then we come to the structure of the lithosphere. How the lithosphere structure or the lithosphere layer was present. So the first, the lithosphere crust is spread over 0 to 100 kilometers. So then next, here the asthenosphere, mantle, outer core, inner core, they are the different region of the lithosphere. So here about that asthenosphere, the mantle which was extended up to 2900 kilometers. Then the outer core was extended up to 5100 kilometers, and the last inner core which extends up to 6378 kilometers. Next. So these are all the importance of components, and these are all the various components which are present in the environment. So by utilizing these components and by utilizing our environment in proper way, we can get more sophisticated life, as well as we give a more sophisticated life to our future generations. Thank you for your passion. Thank you.